Today I am out in a Jaguar SUV that makes 542 horsepower, and in a first for one of my JLR product tests, it doesn't rattle. I'm Alder, and this is the 24 Jaguar F-Pace SVR. This top-shelf F-Pace puts out a buttload of power and makes a buttload of noise. It's a lot of fun, and today we're going to find out why. Despite Jaguar being something of an underdog, I'm really quite keen on it. The Jaguar F-Pace has been with us for a good 8 years now, but it's only since 2020 that we've had the option of this, the SVR. Taking everything a little farther than what you get in the regular F-Pace SV, this here SVR puts out a lot of fun for what is honestly not a wild price in today's market. Just to get it right off the bat, this thing, as tested, comes in around $109,000. That's up from a pretty well-loaded base of $103 Canadian. Now, with that, you get most of JLR's current goodies. Front and center for modern buyers is their really strong new upgraded infotainment. It's a really sleek system. It's got this beautiful curved glass display. It all works really well and really seamlessly. We've got 360-degree camera views. We've got comfortable interior with ventilated seats. We've got stylish 22-inch wheels. They're enormous, those 22s. And then, of course, there is that powertrain. 542 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque. All of that runs through the typical ZF 8-speed automatic. But importantly, it runs that through an electronically controlled rear diff, and better still, your all-wheel drive gets a rear bias. Here in the SVR, that means despite being a pretty sizable vehicle at just over 2,000 kilos, this thing is chuckable. Running it round at what I'd say are modest speeds here in a local twisty bit, the SVR's weight and height do make it a little bit topsy-turvy. But it's a lot more composed than you would typically expect of a large crossover SUV. There are many factors to thank here, of course. You've got more aggressive anti-roll bars, and you've got that dynamic suspension. Helpful too is the size of those wheels. Those 22s don't leave a lot of sidewall to flex and dance about underneath you. No, this thing stays pretty sharp and pretty square on its feet. With that being said, there is a good bit of posh luxury and comfort here that doesn't exactly help things. It can feel a little bit washy if you carry too much speed into things. And importantly, during this week's test, it's been cold, and this is only on all seasons. So traction has not exactly been a strong suit for the F-Pace. That can be fun, but it can also be a little bit frustrating. You see, well, yes, this does have the power when you're at speed to hypothetically get it to step out. What I've been experiencing a little bit more of is a tendency to plow into corners. Fortunately, those brakes are pretty well up to the task. They make good use of the space they have within those 22s, and their two-piece construction and more aggressive pads here in the SVR make this thing quite a competent stopper. As long as you're not on a dusty or salty surface, this thing will rein itself in pretty effectively, although you do want to make sure that you get that braking out of the way in a straight line. Forced to compromise through the corners then, this thing really shines on its exits because, man, those 500 figures are a lot of power. So then, you've got your straight line party trick, you've got a little bit of playfulness if the conditions are right. How does this feel as an actual sporting purchase though? Well, this SVR has some really impressive competition. Held against the F-Type, I'd actually say this is Jaguar's winner. Compare it though to something from BMW and it gets a little trickier. You see, the BMW X5M and now the XM really set standards for performance SUVs. That X5M in particular, I have four-wheel slid. It is so much fun. And all of this despite this entire class of vehicle being really honestly sort of objectionable to we enthusiasts. Also notable in this segment is the Porsche Macan. It is a very strong product. It's a very well-assembled car. They do a great job with the Macan. And as you climb in the range, that PDK transmission really makes those things shine, especially against the regular old ZF8 in this. The ZF8 Speed is a fine transmission. It's a decent automatic. It works in everything from Dodges to Aston Martins. It's everywhere, but it is somewhat unremarkable in every sense of the term, and that applies to its applications in the BMWs too. The BMWs, they've tried to spice it up by making the graphics for the on-screen tack move faster than it actually shifts to make you think sport mode makes that car shift faster. This doesn't bother with any such trickery, but meh. The F-Pace is so loud, it's so raucous. It also feels a little bit rude, to be honest. I've got it in jerk-off mode right now, and I'm having a blast. But even when you start it up in the sedate, eco, or comfort modes, it's still pretty loud on cold starts. This thing wants everyone to know it's a supercharged 5-liter, and boy does it deliver on that. Of course, with all of this laid out, and setting aside the fact that it is an objectively better product than you get with the F-Type, you are typically buying a sporty crossover because you need it to be able to do some actual car things. And it does most of those well. These firm front buckets, fabulous. Great support in everyday driving, and even when the SUV feels like it wants to roll over through the bends. In the back, you're also pretty respectably set up across that bench. Boot space is not the best in the segment, and that sort of fastback angled glass compromises things further, as it does rear quarter visibility. Also a little compromised is the visibility of this car's sensors. It will complain about things that aren't always actually a problem, or sometimes even there. Driving it in the fog this week, I've had several false alarms that I've had to manually silence because it was panicking thinking I was about to hit something. Car, come on, it's okay. For Driving.ca, I'm Al Alder. For more reviews, news, specs, tests, and all the rest, be sure to follow us online on Driving.ca and check out our socials over on Instagram and the other one.